Yes,
You
I
know.
100%. Well, first of all, I
But
mean,
John, you're wearing a stuffed T-shirt?
Oh,
yes, I am.
Oh my God! You know how
This was
important Gordon Edwards is to me?
yes, but because you're
a
a
geezer.
well, no, and you're a musician on the East Coast with a brain in his head.
To go
My
there.
dear friend Mick Gaffney has been playing with Gordon and stuff too since like the 90s. And I remember my mother had a boyfriend when I was very, very young, who I'm trying to remember the connection. I think Gordon was dating his cousin, Bruce's cousin. And all I know is I wound up at Kenny's Castaways when I was like 6, watching this band, and he was telling me it's this guy. His name is Gordon Edwards, and I think Esther Marrow was singing with them at the
Oh
time.
wow!
And I remember just sitting in this room watching this band. It sounds ridiculous to tell the story. Like I watched stuff at Kenny's Castaways when I was 6, but
Yeah.
I know it happened. You know what I mean? And then like years later, after I went to Berkeley and all that stuff, came back to New York, was trying to do the musician thing in New York, and I knew Mick, and he says, "Yeah, I'm working. You know this band? You know the band Stuff with Gordon Edwards?" I'm like, "Do I know Stuff? Sure." And so I started hanging around, watching Stuff 2 with Mick and Gordon and all the New York cats that were
I
playing
think Mike
drums then.
Clark was playing drums. At
Mike
that.
Clark was playing drums. Chris Parker would show up occasionally. And then Mick started getting me up to like sing with them. And Gordon always had this very sort of like, he would eye me very suspiciously. Like Mick would say, "Oh yeah, he's a bass player." And Gordon would be like, "Oh yeah." You know. and then now, I don't know if you're probably aware that Gordon does these birthday parties every year, or was, before the pandemic. And one year I got up and sang "Love of Mine." This is the vocal tune that Gordon sings,
Right.
and I was allowed to choose. Like they were selling the T-shirts, and they were like, "No, take one, no, please," because Gordon loves when you sing that song. So yeah, it's if you're
I've been trying to get him on our show. There's a woman named Naima Williams
okay.
who is, I guess, some sort of liaison. So we're trying to do it. But what happened? I don't know if I'll keep this in anyway or edit it out too. So there's a McKell's site on Facebook.
Yeah.
All right. So I wrote a little something where I went, I used to go to McKell's every night that stuff was there until Joe Cocker ruined it. And I literally said that in it because then it got too crowded.
Okay. Yeah, I was going
right.
to ask what does that mean, but okay. Yeah.
So I would sit as far away from Gordon as I am from my computer screen right now.
Yeah.
And just watch. He never went above the 7th fret. And, people know me as a chops bass player.
Uh-huh.
I still think Gordon Edwards has had more effect on me than any one bass player, except for maybe Michael Henderson when he was playing with Miles. Because I really am an on-the-one player. And there's a song on the Stuff album, Do You Want Some of This?
Yeah.
Which is
funny,
probably...
I forget which title is...
That's the one that goes boom, boom,
Oh, yeah.
boom.
Yeah.
Okay, so that tune is important, I think, for everybody who plays the bass to listen to at least 100 times.
Oh, yeah.
It is so on the one, so in the pocket. But so what ended up happening, I did this long diatribe about my love for Gordon Edwards. This woman, Naima Williams, contacts me and says, Gordon was really touched by your da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
So get him on my show, please.
I'll see what I'll make a few inquiries. I think.
That would be great, John.
If he's up for it, I know that he's had some sort of health challenges in the last couple of years, but I think if he can hold the phone up to his face, I think he ought to do it. By the way, I think this should
At
be
Montreux?
like. No, this is a
It's
Warner.
greatest hits.
It's a Warner Archives disc.
okay.
I don't even know if it's available yet. The Montreux thing. That's another thing. This is sort of like a greatest hits.
Okay.
Thing
Right.
with extensive liner notes from Chris Parker. This disc
great.
should be issued to like every college music student. You get your student ID and a copy of this. as far as I'm concerned, in terms of making like, I mean, if you can't make a band move.
Exactly.
that.
And I think for busy
You know?
bass players,
Yeah.
it's very important, because if you're going to be busy, if you hear busy, you still got to have that going on.
Right.
And
awareness.
if you think about McCartney, he had a lot lot of that going on.
For sure.
You know? So
For
see
sure.
how we segue it back? It's
Very good.
Absolutely.
I was waiting for that,
Absolutely.
David. I was waiting.
like
One
that,
more-
Tom?
One more quick stuff story. One more quick stuff story. Happy Together tour 2016. I'm like 4 or 5 days in, and I'm just it's been like 4 or 5 nights in a row, and I'm like burnt out, and I'm tired, and I'm sleep deprived, and I'm away from home, and I'm just like the tour fatigue has kicked in like much quicker than it usually does, and I've got like all of these like Turtles and 60s songs playing in my head simultaneously, and it's driving me up a freaking wall. I go into the bunk and I open up my laptop and I go on YouTube and I find Stuff Live at Montreux, and I hear and I hear Gordon's half notes, Route 5.
Oh,
Yes,
And
sir.
I started weeping. I was like, oh God, New York.
John, so many times I would leave that McKell's after just watching
Yeah.
not so much Gordon, but Richard's left hand
Yes.
going,
Oh
I
my
give
God.
up.
That's it.
Well, David,
Yeah.
I searched out so much weird shit. Do you know that there's it's a Tim Finn album? Richard T's on it. And he
Really?
does solo.
Ah, that's it.
Well, David, tell the George Porter story where George and the Meters, there was this new band opening up for them, and it was Stuff. And what did George say? He ran back, he watched the whole gig intently. It was the original Stuff, 75, 76. And he ran back to the rest of the Meters. He goes, what the hell are we going to play? These guys just played everything. And George,
And it's
yeah.
funny because I said to the reason that came up with our George Porter interview, I said, "Do you ever hear Stuff? They were sort of like the New York U,
Yeah, right.
I think so.
because there's never an L.A. U, because that could never happen. Oh, Tom Scott got close, but
Yeah,
still,
yeah. Props to Scott and the LA Express.